Welcome back to Collecting Smoke. I'm Razul Wallace, and today I'm going to get into another property I acquired with a partner. My partner was my sister, and we bought a 6-family house. We each were able to save up $16,000. I think one of us I saved, and I think she might have taken it from her retirement account. So we had $32,000 between the two of us. Didn't find a property yet, but we just said that we were going to put the money together to invest in something. Didn't know how to put the deals together or find opportunities. So I remember CT RIA had a mentorship course that cost about $6,000. And I knew that I needed to be around people that were investing and making money. And I knew that was probably going to be the most effective way to do it. So I talked to my partner about it. We ended up getting a business credit card, and I put it on our business credit card. So we still had our $32K in the bank, but we put the $6,000 in the card. And in that class, shout out to Linda Baumgartner and Joanne and her husband, because they taught me everything I needed to know to acquire that property and then the next few after that. So one of the things that they taught us was how to find off-market opportunities. And in this case, it was driving around and calling for rent signs. So people that had for rent signs out in front of their house, call them up and ask them if they'd ever considered selling. And while doing that, I came across this property, and this gentleman had owned the property for 35 years, didn't have a mortgage. In the course, we also learned about seller financing and how to acquire it with no money without going to the bank, and how to create your terms and everything. So this 6-family, we ended up agreeing to a $225,000 sale price with $25,000 down, and he would hold the note, or we would pay him instead of the bank $200,000 back. We amortized it, or paid it back as if we were going to pay it over 15 years at 4.5% interest. And that payment was about $1,530 a month, and and then the taxes and insurance were about $1,300 a year, or $10,083 a month. The income was, I'd say 4 out of the 6 units were paying. One of them wasn't paying, and one of them was vacant. I think that was the one that was, he was trying to rent with the for rent sign, but it needed work. And the work, I did it all myself. Got the materials on the credit card, and then I YouTubed putting down the flooring, replaced the vanity. There was carpet in the bathroom, ripped that up, put down new vinyl plank flooring there, painted, got it all ready, and got it rented finally. Had to evict the person in the 6th unit for non-payment. Units 3, 4, and 5 paid consistently. Unit 2 was sporadic. Ended up having to evict Unit 2. And then also renovated Unit 6. I did a lot, and I got some help and paid someone to do it. So I'm saying all this to give you kind of some insight into the journey of growing and learning to become a landlord or a property owner, because it does come with challenges. And I think for me, I was just committed. There was no option but to make it work. So I had to figure out ways to make it work. It being my second property and being a little bit inexperienced, there were some things that I might have missed on the inspection, but kind of got lucky. A tree fell on the roof, and insurance paid for a new roof. We got some new siding also. But yeah, the income at that time was probably about $3,300, and the mortgage was about almost $2,400 a month if you include tax and insurance. So we had a little bit of money that we would pay on the credit cards that we use for repairs, and eventually we would get both units rented, and then we'd increase the income to I think somewhere around like 4,500 or 5,000, and then we were able to pay the mortgage. Had a little bit of room to start paying down the credit card debt some, and we kind of had a good roll for a few months. And then another tenant stopped paying, and we had to evict them. And so this has been since about June of 2018. So we've had it about 6 years now. And during these 6 years, it's been a number of up and downs, but I wouldn't trade it for the world because I got a wealth of knowledge and experience from it. We have some good equity in the property now, but there's been a number of challenges, a number of people that had to be evicted. I got better at vetting tenants and setting some criteria because it's a lot easier to vet them better in the beginning than to have to evict them at the end. That's way more costly. But there's still some challenges that I think we're just at the tail end of getting through. One of the original tenants that was paying well, that allowed us to continue to pay our expenses, was an extreme hoarder. And I knew that we were gonna have to deal with that at some point, but we let them stay until they decided to move, which was about 5 years into us owning it, and we had to completely gut and renovate that unit. I think I put pictures up at one point. There's finishing pictures and video are still to come. I'll get that up for you guys to see. Another tenant we got in there that paid a full year's rent up front. That's hard to turn down. So the logic is that if they can save for a full year's rent, they'd be able to pay the rent, which they did faithfully for a number of years. And then they came upon some hard times and eventually couldn't pay. And then I ended up having to evict them also. But they really destroyed that unit that was freshly renovated with new floors that I'd put in, and all the work that I'd done had to be completely redone. I think I got some pictures of that also. So there's challenges, and along the way, we've had to use some credit cards, take out some a bank line of credit that we use to do these renovations and stuff like that. So there are challenges along the way, and one of the biggest things that I've maintained is, as a property owner, it's been extremely important for me to maintain good, strong credit, because you need to borrow and access funds, whether it's for repairs and renovations, or to have options when it comes to purchasing or renovating or refinancing. So with that being said, we've had the property for about 6 years now. I think if I was to sell it today, I could probably get in the range of $450 for it. We paid down the mortgage some, but we've also taken on a number of debts with like credit card debts and line of credit. So we probably have over $50K in debts from all the renovations that we've done, completely gutted and renovated 2 units. Work that's been done over the years. We had to take down a barn when we refinanced it because it was safe, and the barn was rather large, and the garage. So there's a lot of ups and downs that we've gone through with the property, and now it's stabilized. And the agreement that I have with my partner is that we both were equal financial investors. So the equity and draws we split 50-50, and then I just get a property management fee each month for the work that I do managing the property. So my partner and I each split about $500 a month each for the draws and the ownership that we have, and then I get 10% of the gross income. And right now, the gross income is about $6,500 a month. I would say that it's relatively stabilized now. Probably will increase rents a little bit more because they're still under market value, but we've got 6 paying tenants in there now, grossing $6,500 a month. I did refinance, and the refinance amortized over 30 years, including the tax and insurance. Our mortgage is now $2,332. The monthly utilities, on average, with all the units occupied, I'm only responsible for common areas, water and sewer. So that usually runs about $200 a month, and I'll throw an extra $100 in there to make it $300 a month, just for those times when the unit is vacant, and I have to cover the utilities of that unit also. Property management is me. That's at $650 a month, and then my partner and I each get $500 a month from the property. So if you're looking at the numbers, the gross income is $6,500 minus $2,332 for the mortgage, $300 for utilities, $650 for property management, and $1,000 for each of the partners. That totals $4,282, and then about $2,217 is left over for vacancies, repairs, maintenance, and capital expenditures. A lot of those expenses are on debts and lines of credit, so that those funds we take and apply to those debts, and that frees up funds in the line of credit if we need to, and paying down the credit card. So we're still able to pay ourselves. We still have some equity in the property, a good amount of equity actually. I think, considering all the debts that are associated with it, I would say that we probably have, after miscellaneous expenses and closing fees if we sold and stuff like that, I would say that we probably have combined a good $150K in equity off of a $32,000 investment. I think that's a good, in 6 years, I think that's a good return, in addition to making $500 a month each. I think that that's a solid investment, or $6,000 a year. There have been many periods that we have gone without making the draws. Varying factors, reinvesting in the property, paying down debts, helping managing other properties, more for family, but assisting in them in their ventures. So it's been a very up and down ride with the property, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, because I got a wealth of knowledge and experience. We still have a good amount of equity in the property, and there is a monthly cash flow that comes from it. So as an investor, you gotta take the good with the bad and learn as much as possible, and just keep pushing forward. And when there's an issue, just figure it out and keep moving forward. So that was property number 2. Thank you for listening. I hope this was clear and not too boring, but we had a lot of ups and downs along the way. But again, I'm glad that we got it, and thanks for listening, and remember to rein yourself in.